hear me? Do you? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to discuss two readings. One is by Hernandez, right, from the book, the textbook, Culture of War and Peace. And the other one is from Eric Wolf, Europe Prelude to Expansion. That is the conditions that were created in Europe, the conditions that were created that made possible the Columbus trip to the so-called New World. Okay, so let's start. Who wants to do Hernandez Culture, War and Peace? Who wants to do number one?
I can go.
May I take a crack at?
Stephanie, hold on a second. I have to admit. Stephanie,
Yes.
go ahead.
How do people respond to a culture of war or a culture of
Un
peace?
segundo, ya voy.
In a culture of war, people respond more with hostility than reason and follow nature's predatory functions like animals. And in a culture of peace, words serve to deal with disputes instead of weapons, and people solve problems in harmony.
Who else? That's Stephanie, right? Who else?
I can go, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
We're still on number one, right?
Yes.
So so I had the same thing for how they respond, how cultures of war, I said that they respond with more hostility and they follow nature's predatory functions. And then for cultures of peace, people are more reasonable and they are more willing to participate in discussions to resolve conflicts.
Who else? Wait.
No, ya voy a comer. Estoy en clases.
Can we know where that comes from? That there is someone who has
Chris, your mic is on.
okay. Go ahead. Who else? Who want to go ahead?
Professor, can I go next?
Yes.
I said that the text stated on page 12, when a culture of war prevails, people respond more with hostility than reason and follow nature's predatory functions. So in a culture of peace, words serve to deal with disputes instead of weapons, and people solve problems. And it's Emily speaking.
Emily. Okay. Emily. Who else? Anybody else?
Professor.
Yes.
Yes, I wrote something related to in a culture of war, people are more like with a sentiment of aggression towards each other, and they don't think rationally. They think like about mainly like a animalistic thinking, you know, like not thinking right. In a culture of peace, people fix their issues with words and common sense. So there's two difference, you know, between a culture of war and a culture of peace. That's what I wrote.
Okay. All right. Who else? Anybody else? Amy, what do you write?
I mean, I actually just said the same thing. I said people usually react with hostility, then reason to the culture of war, and they tend to follow nature's predatory functions. And for the culture of peace, people use words instead of weapons, and they try to solve problems in accord with nature's harmony.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, can I go?
Yes. Go ahead.
So, in cultures of war, people are better at solving disputes with their hands and physical aggression and violence, rather than in a culture of peace. They rather sit and solve their problems by using logic and reasoning. And yeah, basically that's what I wrote.
Okay. What's your name?
Bianca.
Bianca. Okay. Who else? Yes. When we talk about culture of war, of culture and peace, of peace, we are talking about different different stages of human history. People are not born with a culture of war, right? Of a culture of peace. People are not at birth. They don't have those ideas in their mind. Those are ideas that you take from we take from the environment that we live, from the school, from the street, to the friends in the streets, from the mass media, newspaper, you name it, from books. We don't get a culture, any culture, by if it's not in a relationship with other people. And the context, the historical context, is what create the division into a culture of peace and a culture of war. Of war. Is it? Hold on a second. I have to. I mean, if we go at the beginning of human history, for most part, people were part of a culture of peace because they were the culture of peace, part of or living a context of the culture of peace, because the conditions, the historical, social, economic conditions to create a culture of war was there. It was not there because throughout the history, we have humans different mode of production, different by mode of production, I mean the mode in which we make of living. And the a mode of production, have for example, the primitive mode of production. The primitive mode of production was to take the things from the trees, the fruit and vegetables that they needed to hunt. And in that process of developing that mode of production, the primitive mode of production, they have to collaborate. They have to collaborate with one another. They have the conditions to make by taking from the trees or by hunting. They have the minimum at first. They have the minimum for them to eat. That means that they were not able to create a surplus. This is important. A surplus, because when people, technology, the primitive people technology evolved and was more and more sophisticated, more advanced. Hold on a second, I have to. They have, when they have more, a more developed tools, right? More developed tools to create more and create a surplus. What was named as the first agricultural revolution in primitive society. When they were able to produce that surplus, then the idea of some people who see that this group, the group, even his or her group, produce now more than they can consume, then they think the idea of living without working appear, without having to work, right? Because if these people are have the capacity to produce more than they need to survive, then I can take possession of what they produce, right? And it is like that the passage from primitive society to other forms of to a class society with the first agricultural revolution took place. Exactly like that. The Enlightenment thinker, I think we talk about that. The Enlightenment thinker, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, say the first person that the first individual that took a piece of land and put a fence around and said, "This is mine," is the true founder of civil society. Is the true founder. At that time, civil society is not doesn't have the connotation that we have today. It was totally different. At that time, civil society means government, a government. And what he means by that, it means that there, the contradiction, when people can take possession of the others' labor, or what other produce with their labels, if they can do that, then what Hernandez called culture of war is created, is evolved, is created when in the first industrial revolution created a new form of society, a new form of people seeing each other. But the development of private property now, everything that we hunt, of everything that we go to eat, is doesn't belong to all of us. Belongs to the people who have the strength to make that their society, private society. And that is what make the development of society, the passage from a primitive to a class society, the first class society that was slavery. And when I say slavery, as a mode of production, universal mode of production in Europe, in Asia, in everywhere existed, right? And there evolved the culture of war. I'm going to the idea of war. Before that, people couldn't do that because they didn't have the technology to create surplus. Listen, let me give you a simple explanation of this. Imagine that we, the people who are today here, tonight, the students and myself, if we imagine that we are a group, a primitive group, and this group live to simplify things, to make things simple. We live of the production of all the whole group, of the production of let's say 50 pounds of rice every month or a week. We are there. We share the rice, but we can only produce those 50 pounds of rice. But suddenly, and all of us participate in the production of the rice. All of us, we live of that. Right? But one day, and we have a meeting to see how, I don't know, a wedding or something like that, and we are in this meeting and start talking about our situation in the community, and someone say, listen, the way that we take care of our children is not the best way. we are going to, we have to because we are in the whole day in the rice field working, and the children are in the in by themselves, and you can see the lions and with our children in the mouth, and we have to do something about the people. And we say we discuss that and we vote. Let's choose 5 people whose contribution to the group, to our group is going to be to take care of the children. Right? That will be there. But these 5 people, they used to work in the field producing the rice. Now they cannot contribute with their share of the rice, but they have to eat the same as they ate before, right? Okay. Someone else say, listen, that group is a group that I don't think they are a peaceful people. They are starting to see anything that we have in order to take it and run away. We need 5 people whose contribution to this community is exclusive to defend the community. So we have 5 more people. That's 10 people. And some others say, listen, we in this community, we don't have a group of people that is going to defend in a steady way, permanent, our relationship with God, with our gods. I suggest that we choose to find other people and members of the community and to mediate our relationship with our gods, our many gods at that time. So we have 15 people. We have the teachers, those who are going to take care of the children. We have the military, those who are going to defend the community, and we have the religious, those who are going to take care of the religious matters. It is exactly how the society evolved to a class society. Why? Because these people, they were not working with their hands. They were going to do unnecessary things to do, but they are not going to work with their land, and they are going to be the aristocracy, they evolved into the aristocracy. At first, they rotate who was going to do what throughout the community, but then started later to be fixed in the same group of people, and people who were doing they were now working. 15 people. Now, if they don't work, we have them before. How do we resolve this contradiction? Because they have to eat, but they used to produce and they're not producing. How do you think we are going to resolve this problem? We need 17 people, or not 17 people, 15 people who are not working. That means that we are going to produce less. And how do we resolve that problem? What do you think? How do you think humans, in human history, this problem was resolved?
They got slaves.
Well, the slaves only could be possible, and in that, you open up a very important issue. The slaves cannot be part of be slaves in a society, by a society, if they don't have the capacity to produce a surplus. And this is the same thing what I'm trying to say. It's good that you brought up that the slavery is going to be the result of created that surplus, because now you can take the surplus produced by the slaves and maintain the slave in good health. The owners of the slaves, it's in their interest that the slaves are healthy. So they go every day in the morning to work long hours, and they don't want them to die, to be weak. Right? So it is from here that the slavery society appeared. Now, why? Because the people have to resolve that. And how did they resolve that? By accelerating the technological development in order to create more with less people working. Because of technology, they started to create more, and that is the idea of class society, when some people could live without working with their lands, and others were slaves, right? And the first, this eventually this create the slavery society and the formation of a dominant group in society, right? And that's what happened when it is the passage and the amendment of war, right? The amendment of war, the taking over from others, and that leads to war, and the cultural war was created in that process. Okay, is there anything you want to say, a question or something? Okay, let's move on. Question number 2. Who wants to do number 2?
I'll do it.
Okay, go ahead.
I said aristocratic rule encourages seeing others as enemies, functions as a root cause of discord, and justifies killing other humans.
Okay, all right. Who else?
I can go. I
Amy,
just
okay.
wrote aristocratic rule, which is a way of governing by the hands of a small and privileged ruling class.
Okay. Who else?
I'll go. To add on to that, aristocratic rule encourages people to view others as enemies. I also said that conflicts arise from this type of rule in the form of I or we and they as hatred, aversion, and distancing alienates the two sides. Also, this is Sabrina talking.
Okay. Who else? Benjamin Stuck. What do you write?
The question was, what type of political and economic rule encourages a view of others as enemies?
Yes.
According to Hernandez's text, I just wrote down aristocratic rule. Several other people have answered this question more thoroughly than I did.
Okay. Who else?
So I thought it was also aristocratic rule, but I thought of it like, well, you have rich people and then poor people, and so they're obviously gonna hate each other because there's now inequality between them, economic inequality.
Who else? Anybody else? Yes, let me say brief. The development of class society not only was the development of class society, it was the development of people that created new forms of people link to each other. Why? Because the class society leads to, for example, the family. The formation of families as we know it today is the result of that same process that we have described. Why? Why? Because when private property is possible, private property appear. Now you can take you say this is mine, and you can take from others their surplus that they produce. Then you are going to one of the first victims of that process were women. Right? Women cannot in a class society continue as they with the liberty that they have before. Why? Because now the men need exactly to know who his children are. And if they don't, in order for them to inherit it, they are the resources that the father have. And that push people towards the family as we know it today. A man, the children, the man, and one and the woman, right? That not only that new system, that passage from primitive to slavery society affected women, the first form of human control over other humans, on slaving of other, was women against women, men against women. Now, the other things that took place was that war became course, predominant. So the way that we passage from the primitive to a slavery society is a way in which start the cultural war. Okay, the number 3. Who wants to do number 3?
Can I go?
Yes.
I wrote, at present, violent and symbolic conflicts occur so often. That is why peace has usually been defined as the temporary absence of war. This is the question.
Okay. Who else?
May I take a stab at this one?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I always say take a stab at this one. I feel rather bad about that. I wrote that that violent and symbolic conflicts occur so often nowadays that it's enough to make the next war seem inevitable, which is pretty much what I do hope I'm saying your name right, Apashna said, but with a bit of a spin, I suppose.
Okay. That's Benjamin. Okay, who else?
Can I try and answer the question?
Yes, go ahead.
So I wrote that peace is just an absence of war because most of our ideas come from like ideas of violence. So it's bound to happen, I guess.
Okay. What is your name? Jolly. Okay. Who else? Anybody?
Professor.
Yes.
Yes, I wrote that we become so used to the idea of being in a war that when we have a little peace, we see it as temporarily peace, because it's so much war in the world that the small amount of time that we have peace, we look at it like that, That's what I wrote.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else?
Yeah, so I was just thinking like back then in like the primitive class, like I'm sure there were like different tribes and they were constantly fighting for power. And so when finally there was, like a break from that war, then they automatically assumed, okay, like it's a peaceful era. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. Number 4. Who wants to do number 4?
May I take a stab at that?
Go ahead.
Thanks. How can we compare the Muslim civilization with that of the Western world after the establishment of Islam and the fall of the Western Roman Empire? I wrote that Muslim civilization encouraged the cultivation of knowledge and culture with an abiding tolerance of religious minorities such as Jews. European civilization, however, fostered militarization and the bitter hatred of anyone who wasn't primitive, with the absence of the cultivation of knowledge.
Okay. Who else?
I can add on, and it's Emily speaking. So I said that the Muslim civilization influenced the Western Roman Empire with their ideas on mathematics, arts, music, science, and medicine. Yeah.
Okay. Who else? Let me say this about the questions. The reason why I continue questioning, even though it's the question is clear, the answer is clear, and like ask other, it is because the grade is going to come for participation. It's going to come from that, from your participation. Even you, if you all of you have said the same thing, this doesn't matter. I'm going to take care that I know that you did it. Right? That each one of you did or wrote the answers. But if I don't see that, then if I don't ask the question, I'm not going to see that. And if I don't see that, then I'm not going to give you the grade that you deserve. So do that and answer the question, even though everybody have saying the same thing. Okay, the next question, number 5. Who wants to do number 5?
I'll do it.
Okay, Sabrina.
Yeah. I said the bull of demarcation was Pope Alexander the Sixth's way of dividing the world into North and South, with Spain being granted lands west of the line and Portugal lands that were east of it.
Who else?
Professor, this is George.
Oh, George, go ahead.
Yes, I wrote, this was the division of the world from the north to the south, granting Spain domination over lands discovered west of the line, and Portugal over lands to the east. That's what I wrote, Professor.
Okay. Who else?
So basically, like, the western part of the world is just Spanish and the east is just Portuguese, which I kind of find funny because it's like they just thought like these two like parts of the world has a lot to say for the whole entire world. You know what I mean? Like, Africa's in there, Australia's in the Portuguese section, you got China, and it's just crazy. I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Who else? Bianca.
Crack at it.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. Jessica can go if you want.
Chris, go ahead.
Okay. The Bull of Demarcation divided the world down the middle into the east and the west, or the east and the west, depending on if you're looking at this through a mirror or not, giving Portugal the lands to the east and Spain the lands to the west, or whatever. You get the idea.
Okay.
Sorry, by which I mean, never mind.
Who else? Anybody else?
Yeah, so I said it was that all lands, west and like kind of what everybody else said, but yeah, west and south of the islands Cape Verde belong to Spain.
Okay, George and Benjamin, I brought your answers. Okay, who else?
This is Stefan. I said that it split the world like down the middle between east and west, and this split caused the enslavement of Africans.
Okay. Anybody else? Hello. Okay, let's move on. The number 6. Who wants to do number 6?
I'll do number 6.
Sorry, never mind. Please go.
Kira.
Yes. How did the Muslim domination affect cultural development in Spain?
I wrote because of the invasion of Spain, of Muslims in Spain, a civilization Hernandez describes as a brilliant cosmopolitan civilization is born. Muslims share their language, their disciplines such as art, medicine, science, and math. They share their architecture, their economy, building Spain under a civilization that was beneficial to those that were invaded rather than destructive.
Who else? Let me say something about the Muslim. The Muslim took control of Spain, and that control lasted for a long time, almost 800 years. And they brought a lot of well, you name it, almost all things from school, universities, and many things that you mentioned. But also, they have an impact, a cultural impact. If you take the Spanish have a lot of words that come from Muslim, for Arabic, right? Ojalá. What do you think ojalá means?
Maybe.
Ojalá. When you say ojalá in Spanish, ojalá something happen, right? Ojalá pase algo. Ojalá.
Hopefully.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Quiera Dios. Ojalá. Allah.
Oh, that sounds like inshallah, like that.
Yes.
Interesting.
The all words in Spanish that start with al are from the Muslim. Alfombra, almendra, all those kind of words come from. They have a cultural impact that is, if you go to Spain or study the history, is enormous. An enormous contribution to Spanish culture. Okay, let's move on. Anyone want to say something about that? No. Okay. The next question is
number 7, Professor.
Number seven. Okay.
Can I do
Who
it?
wants to do? Yes, you can.
This is George.
Okay, George.
Number 7 says, how does Hernandez define conquered people in the book? He defined this as as conquered people are those forced by war and occupation to move away from lose control of their homeland and society. Actually, it means like people who are conquered, they're forced to leave what they have, you know, their freedom, their costumes. So they step away, they take away all of that, you know. That's how he defines in the book, Hernandez.
Okay. Who else? George.
I have the same thing. That's a direct quote from the book on page 16. I said the same thing.
Okay. Anybody else? We have like what, 15, 20 minutes? Yes.
22 minutes.
Okay.
21 minutes.
41?
21. Sorry, it just says
21.
22 to 21.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Number 8. Who wants to do number 8?
May I? Sorry.
Go ahead.
In what ways does Islamic civilization in Spain help us understand the culture of war and Spanish colonial rule? Islamic civilization in Spain shows us that the success of the intellectually endowed breeds resentment and jealousy among comparative savages who will then try to steal or hijack that success by force.
Okay. Who else?
Professor.
Yes.
This is George. I put that this help us understand a little better the culture of war, why people go to war, in a way.
Yes. Anybody else?
Hi, this is Nicole.
Cool. Go ahead.
I wrote that it shows that when people don't understand or agree with someone else's beliefs, the first reaction is violence. And it shows that violence is never truly works because it took the European 3 centuries to get back Spain, and they did it with violence.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Okay, let's move on.
I can add on to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh. Yeah, no, I think he mentioned that throughout history, most cultures of war have that's the most prevalent. And then there's almost like an intrinsic characteristics of humans to pursue conflict.
Okay, who else? Okay, let's move on. The Eric Wolf, Europe Prelude to Expansion. Who wants to do number 1?
I'd like to. I know I've done a lot, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. How did the fall of the Roman Western Empire affect the economic and cultural development of Europe? The fall of the Roman Empire caused a geographical shift in long-distance trade, which transformed Europe from a backwater into a key hub of economic activity on the world stage. Also, warmongering rulers and the merchant classes worked together to consolidate entire kingdoms in Europe.
Who else? Dora, what do you think? What do you write?
So for mine, I put economically, the outer parts of the empire grew more self-sufficient, and then the provincial armies became autonomous so that the marginal provinces were totally independent.
Who else?
I could go.
Sabrina, go ahead.
I said after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, there was no centralized power. Political, cultural, and economic influence shifted to that of Byzantium and the Muslim Caliphate. Long distance trade saw Europe become a key area of commercial development instead of a dependent fringe of Asia. Small and scattered tributary principalities were turned into politically and militarily consolidated kingdoms. Eventually, in collaboration with merchants and war-minded rulers, they sought to find new frontiers.
Okay. Who else? Chris.
It's kind of similar to what people have said already, but once the Roman Empire fell, a lot of trading stopped, which negatively impacts the economy.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
I wrote that it made a change on the dependence of Asia into a key area of commercial development.
Okay. Who else? Okay, let me say something about this. The Roman Empire have a major impact. The fall of the Roman Empire have a major impact, of course. You have mentioned most of it. But I want to highlight something, and that is that the Western the Western Empire, the Roman Empire, when the fall take place, also a disunity of the different regions in the Western part of the empire is started to separate from each other, because what made maintain them united was the empire. It was the empire. When the empire the fall take place, they started to spread, and that was important. It was important because the only the only institution that could maintain the unity of this that was maintained by the empire was the Catholic Church, was the church. And that is going to produce what was called the Dark Ages, where, hold on a second, the Dark Ages, where the intellectual and artistic production of historical production and raised by the empire, all of that disappear, and the science, the art and the artistic, they take other a different way, and the force in part fundamentally, I would say, by the Catholic the Catholic religion. The Catholic religion of that time was an enemy of two things. They were enemy of sex, and today in some part of the world they are still doing exactly that. The priests cannot have sex with anybody. It doesn't mean that they don't do it. Of course they do it. They are against the homosexuality and so on. It was the Dark Ages was dark because people, the vast majority of people, do not. The view imposed on them was the view of the church. A scientific development did not take place backward. It went back to the close to the primitive. And in the same process, also the region, the different regions look for their own interest, for their own interest. The segregation, the disunity of the of people led to different processes. For example, the formation of the of the different languages deriving from Latin, right? The vernacular languages, the Italian. Today, it was not all of them were not going to have one language, Latin. Now they evolved into a Latin language, Latin deriving from the language. Español, Portugal, all the Latin, French, all the Latin languages, right? All the Latin languages, French, no, the Latin deriving from languages are the Spanish, which ones? Spanish. I just mentioned three. Well, it's gonna comes to my mind. Romania is even people don't. Not too many people know that it's a Latin language. They have a Latin language. The Portuguese have a Latin language. All these languages came from the Latin, and but a Latin that existed in a context of unity. When they stop, when they disintegrate, when the empire disintegrate, they take their own ways. Each of these regions, not only culturally in terms of language, but also in terms of other aspects of their culture. Okay, let's move on. Anybody want to ask a question or say something? Okay.
Professor.
Yes.
Italian comes from a Latin language too, right?
Italia, claro. Italia. See,
Italian, right?
That was
okay,
the one that was missing. Yes, of course. The type number 2. Who wants to do number 2?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
What type of socioeconomic changes developed in Europe that affected the relationship between the countryside and city? Food production could not support the cities. So urban crafts left the towns to relocate in the hinterland. So the countryside was gradually, I guess, winning over the cities.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, this is George. I pretty wrote the same thing. You know, I wrote that the food production in the cities couldn't be surplus because the farms, you know, they couldn't, they didn't have the hand labor to do it, you know, so it was a problem for them.
Okay.
That's what I wrote.
Okay. Who else?
I could go. This is Benjamin.
Benjamin, go ahead.
I had wrote that the countryside was better off socially and economically in comparison to the city. And I basically wrote the same thing as other people have said, that food was not really available in the city, and that urban crafts forced people to relocate to the hinterlands. So yeah.
Okay. Who else?
Yeah, I said pretty much the same thing. Because of the invasions, the trade had been disrupted, and so the city just wasn't sustainable for that amount of population, and so everyone just kind of retreated to the rural areas, and they began to like grow their own food.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. Anybody want to participate?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I also said that like the living standards and like were different for the different groups, and I also said that like the social economic changes that happen in Europe were regional and happen in like rural development. That's it.
That's good. Let's move on. Wait, what is the next question? Okay. Okay, number 3. Who wants to do number 3? Who wants to do number 3? Hello?
I can do number 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
So I said the agricultural revolution entailed changes in the plant strains, the farming practices, and the hydraulic technology. And then the revolution issued a great expansion of colonization, which increased surpluses and agriculture like intensified, and it just it expanded commerce and town life.
Okay. Who else? Okay, let's move on. Number 4. And I think this is the last one. How many minutes do we have?
4 minutes.
4. Okay. Number 4. Who wants to do number 4?
May I take a stab at crack at it?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I accidentally closed the. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Number 4. How did European slaves contribute to the commercial trade between Europe and other regions? European slaves were brought along with valuable furs and other products across Mediterranean Sea lanes and into the Black Sea. They also attracted, I believe, Vikings, but I didn't write that down in my answer.
Okay, who else?
Professor, I have something to say.
Yes.
I wrote that the slave trade provided opportunity for making more surplus in a time of war and economical need. Also, the slave trade created a different way to provide a more affordable labor force in a time of need.
Okay, who else? Hello? Let's say Christian Sanchez. What do you think? What do you write? Let's see. Kira. Hello? Nicole Vargas. Well, okay. Let's number 5. Who wants to do number 5? Number 5 says, what were the manifestation of the crisis of feudalism in Europe around 1300?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
Not sure if it's right, but I have agriculture ceased to grow because available technology reached the limits of its productivity, and the climate worsened, rendering the food supply more precarious and uncertain. Famine and epidemics affected large numbers of people, and there was a decrease in population.
Okay, who else? Anybody else? Okay, listen, we're going to stop here and we are going to go over that question the next time we meet. That means Wednesday, okay? We take a few minutes to finish the questions and then go to the readings for next week, for Wednesday. Is that clear? All right, so have a good night.
You too.
Professor,
Thank you.
Professor.
Hi.
Professor, can I talk to you about Blackboard a little bit?
Yes, yes.